introducing our next interview now. Only those who have worn scrubs really know the inside secret of what goes behind the scenes in a hospital.
Award-winning journalist and New York Times best-selling author Alexandra Robbins spoke with Adam Chodak about her latest book. It's called The Nurses, a year of secrets, drama, and miracles with the heroes of the hospital.
Alexandra, we'll get right into it. One of the more interesting parts of the book that I found was the violence in the workplace, violence in the hospital. I guess it's something that I had never really considered. I think I knew it happened, just not to the degree that you talk about in the book. Basically, patients who physically abuse the nurses. And if I can, one striking paragraph to me on page 91, you write, Molly was working triage at Academy when a fellow ER nurse, upset and disheveled, came in for treatment. She told Molly she was trying to get a patient settled in bed when the patient jumped up and walked out of the room. The nurse called for security, but the officer only watched. And you continue on to talk about the confrontation. Was this surprising to you?
At first, it was shocking to me. It turns out that nursing is the third most dangerous profession in the country. Surveys show that 9 out of 10 ER nurses have been attacked in the last year. It's not something you think about, but nurses are surrounded by patients who are stressed, ill, belligerent, and it's not just patients, it's patient visitors as well. And they really go after the nurses because the nurses are the frontline responders who patients are with pretty much every minute of the day. And the saddest part for me, and the part that surprised me the most, was that too many workplaces make nurses believe that this sort of violence should just be accepted as part of the job.
And you profile 4 different nurses in your book. You go in depth and kind of follow them around. Is that correct?
That's correct. I followed nurses, so you really get a sense of, I try to write nonfiction like fiction, so you can sort of curl up with the book and really get into the stories of a few people so you understand what they're going through, but you also really want to find out what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Another issue that you address is bullying, which I suppose it happens in every workplace. Did you find it to happen with more regularity in the hospital?
I think bullying does happen more commonly in hospitals, partly because of the hierarchical structure in which many doctors seem to believe they're above nurses. So there's a lot of disrespect that doctors show nurses. Some of them. There are wonderful doctors out there, but I was really surprised. Some doctors throw scalpels and other instruments at nurses, berate them, and this affects patients directly because when there's a communications breakdown like that between your doctor and your nurse, things slip between the cracks, and sometimes patients die.
Did you find the 4 that you spoke with, did you find overall satisfaction with the job despite all these challenges?
Actually, I interviewed hundreds of nurses across the country, and almost all of them felt that nursing isn't just a job, it's a way of life, and they find it so rewarding, and they're so amazing and strong in that they're able to find these moments of joy even in 12 hours of stress and traumas and tragedies. Nurses are really unsung heroes of the hospital, and I think the public needs to be more aware of that.
Obviously, healthcare is changing by the day, given the law and also things out of our control. Has this changed the atmosphere within hospitals?
Yeah, it absolutely has. And one of the problems going on is that more patients are now being funneled through hospitals. What happens then is because the hospitals generally aren't hiring more nurses, there are more patients per nurse than there were before. There's only one state in the entire country that has safe staffing nurse-patient ratio laws. And when there are more patients per nurse, more patients die, more patients get sick, more patients suffer infections. So that's something that the public needs to be aware of so we can lobby lawmakers to make this environment safer for nurses and for patients.
Obviously, your book is riddled with a lot of problems that you see in hospitals. What's one general positive that you do see?
One general positive is that your nurse is there for you. Nurses are amazing patient advocates. They're really there to get you better, to make you comfortable, to make you happy. And so I think that the public could really do them a service by thanking them. Don't forget to thank your nurse by name for the service she gives you because she's working so hard.
Amen to that.
That is true. That is so true.
Some of my best friends
I know.
over the recent years.
Yeah.
Nurses.